It was my junior year of high school. We'd been through lockdown drills before, lights off, hiding in corners, whispering dumb jokes until it was over. But this time, it wasn't a drill. And I swear, it's still the scariest moment of my life. I was in history class, half asleep, doodling in my notebook. The room was bright, blinds half open, 20 kids scattered around. It was just another ordinary day, until the intercom crackled. Mrs. Jenkins, the receptionist. Her voice was shaking. "Attention! This is a lockdown. This is not a drill. Lock doors. Turn off lights. Hide now." For a split second, the room froze. Then panic hit. Desks scraped. Kids dove for cover. The teacher locked the door and killed the lights. He whispered for us to stay down and stay quiet. My heart was slamming so hard I could feel it in my ears. I crawled under his desk near the front of the room. The wood felt solid, safe. I clutched my backpack to my chest and tried not to breathe too loud. That's when I saw it. Through the small window on the door, a shadow moved by. Someone was out there. The doorknob rattled, slow at first, then harder, twisting back and forth like someone desperate to get in. 30 seconds, maybe less, but it felt like forever. Every kid in that room held their breath. I gripped a soda can I'd pulled from the teacher's mini fridge, the metal slick in my shaking hand. Then, silence. The shadow drifted away. We stayed hidden in that thick, suffocating dark. The only sound was someone quietly sobbing across the room. I thought about pulling out my phone, texting my mom a goodbye, but I couldn't. I didn't want it to be real. Minutes crawled by. Finally, the bell rang for dismissal. The sound was so normal it made me jump. Then came the intercom. "Lockdown initiated. This is not a drill. Hide immediately." Chaos exploded. We scrambled back under desks, faster, more desperate than before. The doorknob rattled again, twisting and shaking. Our teacher's face glowed in the dim light of his phone, eyes wide, terrified. We waited like that for what felt like forever, until at last the announcement came. All clear. We could go home. The next morning, the principal explained. The police officer in the parking lot was just eating McDonald's. No emergency. And the shadow rattling our doors? That was the assistant principal, checking locks. Everyone groaned. Pointless. But even now, years later, I can still hear that sound. The rattling of the doorknob in the dark, when I least expected. Because in that moment, none of us thought it was a misunderstanding. We thought we were about to die.
This is the story of Daniel. Daniel was 22, a college student who had come home to spend the summer with his family in a quiet town surrounded by endless fields and forests. He was responsible, kind, and deeply loved by his parents. His mother was devoted to her faith, his father worked long days on their farm, and Daniel often helped with the harvest. He was also engaged. His fiancée would often visit, and to everyone, Daniel's life seemed perfectly normal. At least, until that night. One evening, Daniel and his childhood friend Mark sat under the giant oak tree at the edge of town. The air smelled of rain, thunder rolled in the distance, and the leaves shivered in the wind. Mark lit a cigarette, passed it over. They joked about school, about Daniel's future wedding. But Daniel stopped laughing, his eyes fixed upward toward the highest branch of the oak. Do you see that?" he whispered. Mark looked, nothing but shadows swaying with the storm. But Daniel kept staring. "Someone's up there, watching." Mark shook his head. "Man, you're seeing things. Let's go before the rain hits." He walked away. And that's when it began. Daniel felt a heavy pressure on his head. His breath caught in his throat, and then his lips began moving on their own, muttering words in a language he had never learned. A chill swept through him, as if something had climbed down from the branches and slipped inside. The next morning, Daniel was not the same. He laughed in voices that didn't belong to him. He whispered in strange tongues, sometimes like a woman, sometimes a child. He would eat mud, bite into raw meat, and when his parents begged him to stop, he only smiled, eyes glazed over. Neighbors heard him at night, his voice changing, sometimes pleading, sometimes growling, sometimes muttering in a drunkard's slur. Then came the new moon, the night when the sky is darkest. Daniel screamed for food, not normal food. He demanded blood, meat, things that made his family sick to even hear. His mother prayed, his father wept, but nothing helped. Word spread fast. People avoided the house, whispering that Daniel was cursed. Finally, his parents called for help. They brought in Father Joseph, an old priest known for dealing with the unexplainable. He arrived carrying a worn Bible, holy water, salt, and a bundle of candles. The moment Father Joseph entered, Daniel's voice changed. It wasn't his voice anymore. It was a woman's, deep, bitter. "You think your prayers can drive me out?" she hissed. The priest sprinkled holy water, and Daniel screamed, thrashing against his restraints. His voice shifted again, now high-pitched, like a child crying for its mother. Father Joseph remained calm. He demanded each spirit reveal its name. And they did. One voice said she was a woman who had been burned alive by her husband. Another, the voice of a child, said he had drowned in a nearby river. A third, sounding like an old man, claimed he was wrongly accused of murder and beaten to death. Then came a young woman's voice, soft, trembling. She said she had taken her own life after being abandoned on her wedding day. And finally, a deep, slurred voice confessed to being a drunk driver who had killed a man in a hit and run. Each voice, each story, poured out of Daniel's mouth as his body convulsed violently. The ritual lasted hours. The candles flickered, shadows twisted on the walls, and the house filled with screams, not just Daniel's, but as if countless others echoed through him. The priest commanded the spirits to leave. Daniel thrashed on the floor, blood streaming from his nose and eyes, his body rising and slamming back down as though invisible hands pulled him apart. And then one final cry tore through the room, a sound so loud the windows rattled. The candles went out. Silence. Daniel collapsed, unconscious. For 3 days he slept. His parents feared he might never wake again. But on the 4th morning, his eyes slowly opened. The priest returned, asked him how he felt. He whispered, "Empty, like a house with no furniture." At first, his family was relieved. He seemed calm. But something had changed. Daniel no longer laughed. He barely spoke. He stopped helping on the farm. His fiancée visited once and never came back. Sometimes at night, his mother would find him standing by the window, staring at the sky. She would ask him what he was looking at, and Daniel would whisper, "This body feels like it's mine again, but I'm still not sure who it belongs to."